Hello everyone, it's Shane Kanto, your Wasteland reviewer, and I'm here to review Demonic. And this is from writer-director Neill Blomkamp, and what a interesting career. Because you start off with District 9 and blow everybody out of the water, which gets nominated for Best Picture. Elysium, real solid action movie, but doesn't reach the same level. For me personally, I absolutely hated Chappie. Hated that movie. And then you have all this time that passes, and now we have Demonic. And this is a horror film, or at least supposed to be, that focuses on a young woman unleashes a terrifying demon when supernatural forces at the root of a decades-long rift between mother and daughter are revealed, and she finds out that her mother's in a coma. She goes to this place who set her up for like this virtual reality machine that puts her into this world where her mother's consciousness is. She tries to connect with her there. And this seems like this should really be the focus of the film, but honestly a lot of the times it kind of feels like it's an afterthought. And even that specific part of the film gets resolved with a decent chunk of, like, at least 10, 15 minutes, or at least felt like 20 minutes, of screen time left. And it never feels like it's fully connected, and we never feel emotionally invested in this relationship. So then the whole crux of the film, you're just like, well, okay. You have this virtual reality idea, which is a cool idea, and doesn't wind up being like... You would think that this film builds up to that. This is a unique idea. But then the film climaxes in a pretty bland, just like, possession confrontation that feels very anticlimactic. And visually, like, the VR stuff looks interesting. And it's an interesting perspective to have in the film. And then the effects of this demon, this weird bird demon, it's pretty interesting. But the whole rest of the film is not really interesting. This film lacks any kind of drive or life to it. It just feels very flat. And there's no suspense, there's no terror, there's no emotional connection. It just felt like for an hour and 45 minutes of just walking through scene to scene, with the actors in general either just being serviceable at best or overacting and feeling way just did not fit well in the film, or stiff as a board. And you have all of these elements that are trying to pull together into the story, and nothing feels really fully realized or earned in the end, and it just builds up to just a this is what happened. It has an interesting setup at the end, the set piece, but like it never fully realizes it. There's only moments of like you can tell Neill Blomkamp has an eye for filmmaking. It looks interesting, it's well shot, but there's no tension at all. I never once felt afraid, even when there's moments where, like, there's one particular moment towards the middle of the film where it's very obviously turning out to be a dream, and you can honestly tell because of the overacting of one of the actors that something doesn't feel right here, and you're just like, well, imagine something weird's gonna happen, and something weird happens, and there's no suspense there. It just felt like, well, this is a thing, throw it at you. And by the end, I could see a lot of potential here, but I feel like Neill Blomkamp is done living off of potential, and it's just like, this is kind of a wet noodle. And you're just sitting there like, I didn't really get much at all out of this film, except it looked pretty good to look at times. And by the end, you just feel really unsatisfied, or at least I did. Maybe you sit through this film and feel differently, and it works for you, but for me, there's no emotional connection, there's no suspense, there's no horror. So, what is it? Just a string of ideas and people acting out lines, and that's really what it felt like. There was no life to it. So, wouldn't necessarily recommend this. especially since it's just on VOD right now. Like if it pops up on like Netflix and you just want something to throw on, then maybe give it a try. But for now, I would pass on this one. But those are my thoughts on Demonic. Let me know what you think, and let's talk some movies. But thank you as always for tuning in and supporting your Wasteland reviewer.